Karibu sana Rais, karibu. Welcome, Your Excellency, to the 60th Madaraka Day celebration here at Moi Stadium, Embu County. Karibu. Asante sana.
Kwanza kabisa kuwashukuru watu wa Embu. Nilikuja hapa na ndugu zangu wengi, tukaomba kura zenu, mukawa ni watu wangwana, mukatupatia kura zenu, mukatuongezea maombi na Mungu akatupatia ushindi. Jameni watu wa Embu, nasimama mbele yenu leo kusema asante sana. Narudia tena watu wa Embu kusema asante sana. Mimi nataka niwahakikishie ya kwamba sisi wote tuliopata nafasi ya kuchaguliwa kutoka MCAs wetu, wabunge, magavana, maseneta, Mheshimiwa Deputy President na mimi hapa, pamoja na mawaziri wetu na wale wote ambao wamepata nafasi ya uongozi katika taifa letu la Kenya, mimi nataka niwahakikishie tutashikamana, tutafanya kazi pamoja ili tutimize malengo yetu ya kubadilisha uchumi wa Kenya na kuhakikisha kwamba kila Mkenya anapata nafasi ya kujiendeleza katika taifa letu la Kenya. Na wauliza viongozi wote, sote tuliopata nafasi kutokana na kura za wananchi hawa, tushikamane, tushirikiane, tufanye kazi pamoja ili tuweze kubadilisha Embu wakati tunabadilisha Kenya. Asanteni tena watu wa Embu kwa msaada wenu, kwa kura zenu na kwa maombi yenu. I want to say thank you very much to the great people of Embu County, as I thank all Kenyans who stepped forward to vote in the last election so that we, as the people of Kenya, can maintain our democratic credentials as a nation that is democratic, as a nation that is built on the firm foundation of multi-party democracy. And now it is our opportunity, all of us as leaders in government and in the opposition, to work together towards making our nation great. On this day, 60 years ago, Kenya formally gained its right of internal government, Madaraka, the mandate of majority African self-determination, was a major step forward. The emergence of this nation as a republic later that year. That first Madaraka Day then was the golden dawn of our country's sovereignty, freedom from colonial oppression, autonomy from racist repression, and liberty from foreign suppression. In fighting for our sovereignty, our noble freedom fighters had primarily waged a political struggle to liberate a people divided, humiliated, and impoverished under a predatory system whose institutions were vicious and extractive. So, although the freedom struggle was political and the first Madaraka Day represented political autonomy, every Kenyan African understood it to mean and to be the beginning of the hard and noble work of securing and enhancing social and economic freedom as well. For 6 decades now, the people of Kenya have worked hard with admirable diligence and unwavering determination to perfect the political freedom of their nation through sustained socio-economic progress. In this manner, Kenyans have reiterated their commitment to true freedom by complementing political freedom with freedom from want, freedom from suffering, freedom from ignorance, and freedom from indignity. Our forefathers' historic struggle to vindicate our God-given rights of self-determination entailed tremendous sacrifice and immense determination against a colossal adversary. Ultimately, they triumphed. Similarly, our war against underdevelopment, poverty, unemployment, indignity, and vulnerability has been daunting. Yet, we have made steady progress year after year, over 60 years of freedom. At the heart of our struggle for freedom, both before and after independence, is the distinctively Kenyan spirit of determination that is nevertheless flexible, consistency which is innovative, pragmatism that is also hopeful, and faith strong enough to take chances. The sacrifices required were inspired by a spirit that is truly unique, which transcends ordinary decision-making. We recognize that spirit even now. It lives in the heart of every Kenyan who wakes up early to give their best, try their luck, knock on doors, and chase their dreams. We see it every day when we see traders, artisans, farmers, and other workers braving the scorching sun and enduring cold rain in pursuit of livelihood. We also witness in teachers, nurses, police officers, extension officers, and technicians who go far from their comfort zone, often beyond the call of duty, to attend to Kenyans in their communities throughout all villages, all corners of our great republic. This noble ethic of willingness to struggle by working hard and embracing risk, and of determination to achieve positive change in great leaps as well as in little installments, has brought us far and will take us beyond the horizon of our destiny. Today, I join all Kenyans to celebrate our magnificent collective achievements and the spirit of brave endeavor which inspired them 60 years ago and sustain us today. This celebration speaks to the sustained effort we have invested in perfecting our national mandate of self-government. I will highlight the wonderful ways in which we have stewarded political freedom into democratic maturity, enhanced economic freedom by empowering enterprise, and expanded social freedom by securing dignity. We must never forget that until fairly recently, our country's politics was divisive, violence, do-or-die affair by which neighbors, colleagues, and even relatives were incited into hatred in the name of political competition. In this dark era, the tribe was the fundamental term of all political engagement and the master variable of democratic contest. Many highly respected experts and eminent persons confidently affirmed that Kenyan politics is inherently tribal, and many leaders designed their political parties, policies, and campaigns on the basis of raw political appeals. Leaders also made sure that political discourse revolved around personalities and the private interests of a few privileged individuals, and not the aspirations of the majority. Some used political parties as political vehicles to access the high table where important decisions were made, and exploited their ethnic constituencies to negotiate a bigger share of public resources as well as positions of power and privilege in the service of private ends. For decades, Kenyans understood that this perverse political culture not only defiled our democracy, but also obstructed the spirit of daring and achievement, arresting our collective progress. The people of Kenya, therefore, yearn for freedom from the tyranny of political personality cults, toxic tribal discourse, and the violence they engendered. They desired a more unifying, cosmopolitan framework of engagement which promoted the expression of their shared aspirations, encouraged inclusive negotiations, and a collective means of pursuing them. In the last general election, the people of Kenya finally broke free. The campaign was conducted purely on the basis of important national issues, foremost of which were economic issues. Not only did Kenyans reject the old divisive politics of tribe and tribal chiefs, but they also demanded and interrogated well-considered party manifestos with detailed plans for economic transformation. As a result, although the election was closely contested, it was the most peaceful in the multi-party era in Kenya. And I want to congratulate all Kenyans for being participants in this great feat. Our public discourse and political discussion and the agenda of social debate has changed for good. Substantive policy issues continue to define the national conversation well beyond the election. At the moment, there is a robust debate on the finance bill taking place everywhere in this country, in churches, social places, formal and informal workplaces, all media platforms, and busy markets, as well as in urban and rural gatherings. We are truly a trailblazing nation. Many countries struggle in vain to generate a national debate on public financing, taxation, or other policy issues. In Kenya, we have easily sustained intense discourse on the finance bill and the affordable housing policy for weeks now. The debate has remained issue-oriented, and there is no hint of divisive ethnic rhetoric at all. The cost of living is keeping all leaders, including myself, awake, and this is precisely as it should be. Superficially, the intense national debate on housing is not about whether it is a tax or a contribution. The attention sharply focused on the housing contributions is an implicit expression of ownership. People desire better information and stronger assurance regarding the custody, security, investment, and return on their money. That is phenomenal. People are interested. How will their money be? Will it be safe? Will it be stolen? How is it going to benefit them? And how are they going to get a fair return for their contribution? I want to assure the people of Kenya that those questions will be answered. More encouragingly, the discourse on public finances and housing fund has opened our eyes to our emergence as a stakeholder republic. Kenyans today, more than ever, are fully involved citizens in shaping public policies and making institutions accountable in the manner in which they run national affairs. This is the vision of Madaraka expressed in the first article of our Constitution. All sovereign power belongs to the people of Kenya. We have crossed a fundamental a decisive threshold in the history of our political freedom and democratic maturity. Today, Kenyans of this generation honor patriots who went before us in this celebration of a noble and historic achievement. Kenya also set a new high in election management by deploying a secure, freely accessible public portal which accurately and faithfully relayed vote tallies in the last election, enabling Kenyans, and indeed anyone else, to compare and verify tallies and ascertain results. This enabled the IEBC to credibly declare and certify the winners of elections and to establish before court, in response to petition by dissatisfied candidates, that the elections met the constitutional threshold as simple, accurate, verifiable, secure, accountable, and transparent. In fact, the openness and credibility of the 2022 election are affirmed by the fewer petitions filed, 124 petitions compared to 303 petitions in 2017. The economy was the most important issue on which the last election was canvassed. The people of Kenya, in their multitudes, made their voices heard, their ideas clear, and their desires known. From Busia to Banisa, Lokichogio to Lamu, Magadi to Moyale, Mandera to Migori, and everywhere in between, the people said they wanted to transform our economic system, democratize opportunity, enhance inclusion, and reduce exploitation. Instead of the traditional campaigning of confrontation, incitement, and division, the last campaign became a sustained national debate on the most pertinent economic issues: the millions of our unemployed youth, access to affordable credit, inclusive financing, promoting the robust expression of the legendary Kenyan hustling spirit through MSMEs, and the facilitation of individual enterprise by enhancing market power through collective interventions like the Chama and SACCO. This is how Kenyan entrepreneurs desired to secure access to credit, do savings, access the market, social security, and health insurance. By paying attention to their aspirations, we established that Kenyan entrepreneurs desire to pursue success through enterprise, which makes positive measures to ensure that no one is left behind or no one is exploited. It is an enterprise culture which encourages the pursuit of individual aspirations through collective systems, which empower every person to succeed within the context of a thriving community. In the course of consultations with Kenyans at the grassroots throughout the country, we identified a number of barriers to effective realization of their economic well-being. The first was the bureaucracy in regulation and compliance, including tax administration. Second, the extreme informality of most enterprises, which effectively relegated them to the margins of empowerment, facilitation, or even recognition as lawful undertakings. Third was the misconception around expanding the national tax base. Is it about people paying more or more people paying? The answer lies in empowering more Kenyans to enter the taxable income category through intentional effort to create millions of new jobs and millions of new taxpayers in due course. Fourth, a huge number of Kenyans, about 10 million, had either been blacklisted by the credit reference bureaus of an inability to pay loans advanced by financial technology platforms, or were struggling to pay. Other lenders required hefty securities and valuable assets as collateral, yet these struggling entrepreneurs required financing to acquire such assets. It was clear, therefore, that the prevailing financing and credit facilities were not supportive to the profitable existence of micro, small, and medium enterprises. Self-employment account for 51% of all jobs in our economy. 83% or 15.3 million jobs are in the informal sector, and only 3.6 million jobs are in the formal sector, representing a paltry 17%. Considering this employment landscape, it was imperative that we attend to the interests of these undeserved and underserved majority of workers urgently, resolutely, and effectively. This engagement with business community inspired the creation of the Financial Inclusion Fund, or the Hustler Fund, to eliminate the financial cost, delay, and bureaucracy entailed in complying. The facility employs the latest fintech powered by Kenyan telecommunications corporations. The Hustler Fund also re-engineered the idea of collateral by deploying the borrower's credit score as effective security. Without a doubt, the Hustler Fund has been more than transformational. In fact, it is revolutionary. On its way to becoming effectively the biggest financial institution by the number of borrowers and active loans, the Hustler Fund also turned around the country's fintech, transforming it from a predatory ecosystem to a more responsive one. As a result, Kenya's digital economy has received a tremendous shot in arm, as demonstrated by reports that Safaricom alone has enrolled at least 2 million new subscribers into their financial ecosystem, courtesy of the Hustler Fund. Today, as we celebrate progress in achieving economic freedom, we also celebrate our digital economy, powered by our famous fintech community. Kenya's legendary spirit of enterprise has entered the digital space. Kenyans responded to this promise of economic freedom in unequivocal terms. The total number of digital transactions now at the Hustler Fund stands at 42.5 million, through which 20.2 million Kenyans have accessed nearly Kenya shillings 30 billion and repaid close to 20 billion, with 7 million Kenyans being constant and repeat customers. Not a single shilling has been stolen through corruption, and borrowers do not need to know anyone, bribe any official, or go through any complex bureaucratic procedures to access the Hustler Fund. They only need a device, a little airtime, and a few minutes, and they are all able to get money wherever they are. The second product of the Hustler Fund will usher our unique collective-driven competitive market enterprise to the online domain. To promote inclusion, the Hustler Fund is going to deploy groups such as chamas and SACCOs, overcome exclusion and barriers to participate in credit savings, social security, health insurance, and other socioeconomic amenities. This is how we will use policy and technology innovation to mainstream our way of life. We are committed to leveraging fintech in ensuring that no one is left behind in the financial and entrepreneurial inclusivity revolution. I am delighted to announce that today, during this celebration, I shall be launching the second product of the Hustler Fund, which is aimed at facilitating people access funding through groups. I am sure that this will be very good news to my good friend Shiko in Madaraka market, who, like many informal business entrepreneurs, were ready for this innovation even before we launched the first Hustler Fund product. I am glad that this launch of the group loan product is taking place against the backdrop of the phenomenal success of the Hustler Fund personal loan product. I expect that this product will encounter even greater appetite from the market. As I have already mentioned, your credit score will determine the amount you can access and the amount you will continue to receive. Thus, we have equalized the formal and informal systems, enabling both to enhance their complementary contribution to jobs and wealth creation from an equal footing. As we celebrate this increase in our economic freedom, today we also celebrate the democratization of the Kenyan economy. This is why more Kenyans are taking part in the robust conversation about our economy. The conversation is inclusive, focusing on the proposals to raise revenues, to discourage imported goods that can be manufactured locally so as to grow local manufacturing and enhance export competitiveness. In this debate, Kenyans are interested in how government will create the 1 million jobs it has committed to provide through the affordable housing program. I know many people have questions about how and why are we having a conversation about housing in the Republic of Kenya. And progressively we are answering the how, we are answering the why, and we will answer every other question. Because right here in Embu, and as we do in every part of Kenya, we have our own citizens, millions of young people who do not have a job. We have 5 million Kenyans across Kenya, young people out of school, out of college, out of universities who do not have a job. It is our collective responsibility to think about the 5 million young people in Kenya who today walk our streets, walk our villages, in our townships, in our markets, and yet they do not have an opportunity to deploy their energy, their knowledge, their education in making a difference in their lives and making a difference in our nation. And I want to encourage all of us as the people of Kenya, as we look into this opportunity. I know many people are asking, how is it my business? How is it my responsibility? I have had many ask me, Mr. President, how is it my responsibility to think about those who do not have jobs? How is it my responsibility to think about the people who live in slums? 7 million Kenyans who live in slums, in indignity, without toilet, without running water, without roads. How is it my business? Let me ask the people of Kenya, if our freedom fighters, the people who made the ultimate sacrifice and lost their lives in liberating our nation, if they had asked the question that how is it their business, today we would continue to have been slaves of our masters if they asked themselves that question. It is our opportunity, as they did, to liberate our country. They went beyond the call of duty. They did not ask how is it their business to make the ultimate sacrifice to liberate our country. I want to ask every citizen, it is our responsibility collectively to think, to plan, and to ensure that the 5 million young people in our country who today do not have jobs, have jobs. It is our responsibility to ensure the people, 7 million of them, who live in our slums, including Shauri Yako here in Embu. I was here last week and I was informed about Shauri Yako. The people who live in Shauri Yako deserve a decent house, and it is our responsibility as we implement the housing plan, not just to create jobs, at least 1 million jobs every year. It is also our responsibility to grow our manufacturing, because housing will make sure that our entire manufacturing value chain, from the cement in our factories, to the steel in our factories, to the doors and windows and hinges in our Juakali sector and our construction products industry, to the sand harvesters, to all the people who will be working in our construction sites, to the accountants and engineers and all the architects and all the technicians and the electricians, to every sector, the millions of young people that will be employed in this sector, is sacrifice enough for us who are employed to make that contribution to the hustler fund, to the housing fund, so that we can bring around the change that is going to take our country forward. Our vision for affordable housing program is premised, firstly, on the objective of creating 1 million direct and indirect employment opportunities throughout every value chain in the housing development ecosystem. A single housing unit is capable of employing 3 to 5 workers directly and an additional 8 workers indirectly in the manufacturing of construction products, in transport, in logistics, and in all other sectors that contribute to the housing and construction industry. Secondly, the objective of affordable housing is to increase the number of homeowners and to transition more Kenyans from rent paying in informal settlements, in slums, and we have 1,411 slums in Kenya. We should transition those people, my countrymen and women, into homeowners. They should live in dignity like the rest of us, because we owe them a duty of citizenship and a duty of comradeship as we live in one country. I want to ask every parent, I want to ask every Kenyan that rather than ask, how is it your business? We must know that it is our business, because the 5 million young people are our children. They are our citizens. They pay taxes. And when we transition them into jobs, we are building a bigger pool of taxpayers. The conversation we have today in Kenya is different. I did promise the country 3 years ago that we are going to change the conversation.